notice of a regular meeting, September 23rd, 2024, 5 p.m. If you'd all rise for the prayer and pledge, please.
Veterans uncover, parade dress. Let us pray. Lord God, we thank you for all your many blessings. We just ask, Lord God, that you be with the deliberations this evening, Lord God. Give us guidance. Send down your spirit to guide us to make the correct decisions this evening, Lord God. Protect us and help us to live such lives that people will want to know the hope that we have, and so that we can bring others to know your Son more deeply. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Attention and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
Thank you for that. Item 4 will be roll call. City Clerk.
Mayor Bourne,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McAdams,
Here.
Councilmember Benitez,
Here.
Councilmember Dugas, Councilmember Oliver.
Here.
I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Item 6, reports. City and staff. Any reports? Item 7, any citizen comments? Do you have any citizen comments? All right, item 8, we will move into the public hearing. I will conduct a public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission for the purpose of reviewing specific use permits for game rooms located at 6900 32nd, 2600 Main Avenue, 2610 Main Avenue, and a specific use permit for the phase 2 of the Lady Luck RV Resort. Notice to the public. Notice is hereby given that the joint public hearing between the city council members and the planning and zoning commissioners will be held on Monday, September 23rd, 2024, which begins at 5 p.m. at 3947 Lincoln Avenue, Groves, Texas. Request by the business owners for listed herein. To consider granting the renewal of a specific use permit for game room and gaming machines for Mr. Patel at 6900 32nd Street, Fuel Plus 3, North 105 of Lot 5 and 6, Block 4, Melrose. To consider granting the renewal of a specific use permit for gaming room and gaming machines for Mr. Amaruk at 2600 Main Avenue, KAG Jubilee Superstore, number 3, lots 14 and 15, track 2, Garden Farms. To consider granting the renewal of a specific use permit for gaming rooms and gaming machines for Mr. Amaruk at 2610 Main Avenue, E-Puff and Smoke Vape, lots 14 and 15, track 2, Garden Farms. To consider granting a specific use permit for phase 2 of the Lady Luck RV Resort at lot 4, tracks 5 and 6, lot 4, track B, block 4, RGC Palaco, 6.0 acres, part of closed Warren Street. This meeting is a joint public hearing in compliance with the specific use permit ordinance of the city of Groves, Texas. For additional information, contact Don Pedraza, building official at 409-960-5707. Following the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, this notice is hereby posted September 19, 2024. Okay, we're going to go one at a time on this. For number 2, the individual will go with Mr. Patel. Is Mr. Patel here?
No, sir, I don't think he's gonna be here today. He called me to prior to the meeting.
Okay.
Are you going to represent Mr. Patel? Okay. This is not Mr. Patel, this is,
Okay. Come to the podium, please. Please state your name for us, please.
Janish, President of College Garden.
Janish, last name? Spell it.
HIRBAR.
Okay. All right, does, council have any questions for Mr. Janish? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to ask if all of the ordinance codes have been complied with? Everything
Yes, ma'am.
checks out fine?
We had a commercial walkthrough, about a month ago. Little small punch list and they took care of everything. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the planning and zoning? Oh, don't leave just yet. Come on back up. Any questions from the planning and zoning commission?
Yes, I just wanted to confirm with Don that the site, the official site plans got turned in. Right. Take care of that. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from planning and
That was
zoning?
it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dinesh, you're good for now. You can have a seat. We will now hear from any property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak in support of the request. Property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak in support. Okay. Any property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak against the request. Property owners 200 feet speak against. Okay. Any citizens of Groves who wish to speak in support of the request. Any citizens of Groves who wish to speak against the request. Okay, we're going to move on to the next site. This is for Mr. Amaruk. I know I probably butchered it, so you're more than welcome to correct me. This is for the specific use for gaming room and gaming machines at 2600 Main Avenue at the Jubilee Superstop. Any questions from council?
Well, it seems like everything is complied with. And he's always been agreeable to do anything like the planning zoning and Don has asked him.
Okay. Any questions from planning and zoning?
No, the only thing I would add is he's complied with everything that we've asked, and actually there was no issues as though.
Okay. And Don, you're good?
yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we can pause for a minute. I mean, yeah, I guess I just need to do each one individually. Okay. Yeah. So you can step away for a minute, but we're gonna call you back afterwards. All right, we're going to property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak for. Any property owners within 200 feet to speak for? Okay, we'll move on to property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak against. Property owners 200 feet who wish to speak against. Citizens of Groves who wish to speak in support of the request. And then now citizens of Groves who wish to speak against the request. All right. We'll move on to the game room for specific use permit for gaming and game room and gaming machines at 2610 Main Avenue, E-Puff and Smoke Vape. Mr. Amaruk again. Any questions from council?
Is all the signage correct? All
Yeah,
the,
let me just put that.
I'm over there usually all the time, you know, at your store, at the bakery.
Yeah, I just love it.
Any questions from planning and zoning?
No, same comment for.
Okay.
You go over there and make a site visit, and moving everything is in order.
Don, we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, you can sit down. Thank you. Property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak for. All right, property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak against. Any citizens of Groves who wish to speak for the request? Any citizens of Groves who wish to speak against the request? All right. Next one, consider granting a specific use permit for phase 2 of the Lady Luck RV Resort. Who is representing Lady Luck today?
So, engineer. Some packets to give you an idea of what we're looking at.
And I'm sorry, what was his name?
Honey.
Sonny.
Okay. Haney.
All right.
I butchered his name. And I've worked with him for years.
We'll let you do your presentation and then we'll move into questions. Can you set up, Mr. Three? Technical difficulties. All right.
While we're waiting on that to get up, I just want to say that Lady Luck has brought so much to Grimes and it's been a joy. We put in 53 spots a couple of years ago when y'all granted the special use permit for phase 1. All spots are full. I have no more concrete to rent. And they're calling me every day. When the space does come empty, it's an empty hours. So I have kids there that are attending school. I have people that are going to the libraries and grocery stores. And they're making themselves at home here in the community. One has even bought a house in there. So I look forward to hopefully being able to expand that.
So this will make 100?
Yes, sir. And that also puts us in line with the contact that I've made with an RV community that I never even knew this existed. They go around and do like tours, like a bike run. They go to different towns, they stay, then they make their route and they go back to their houses. And you have to have 100 spaces to be put onto that list. I thought that that might be a wonderful opportunity to promote some of the Groves events, to bring in some outside people to come to the con festival, you know, just whatever events that Groves will sponsor.
Doesn't want to cooperate, we can just move forward, you'll have copy and then we can make that available to citizens and families. So good evening, Mayor and Council, the manager, Brendan from the bar. I'm hanging from my Golden Triangle Consulting Engineers, and I am representing the owner tonight. A couple of years ago, we did bring you all Lady Luck Phase 1 And at the time, there was a lot of doubt, a lot of questions. Will this work? Will this not work? And I think the proof is in the pudding tonight, based on the occupancy rate, what this project brought to this area, and how this piece of land went from a $24,000 value on the tax roll to a $2 million value today. So our goal from day one with this project was not to just accommodate the demand that's currently in place for the workers that are coming to do the petrochemical industrial work. Our goal was to go beyond that point when this phase is over with and have this park available for tourism, for people traveling, and for people visiting local museums, birding, bird watching, and any other functions in this area. And that was proven right one day when I drove into Lady Luck Phase 1, and I look up and there's about $200,000 worth of palm trees alone. This is how serious the owners were about making this a destination, but just not a working that's gonna go away. And that is why today we have to expand, because it has become the #1 destination for anybody with an RV coming to this area. So the first slide is Lady Luck RV Resort Phase 1, which is a real picture of what this project looks like. Similarly for slide 3 and slide 4, this park includes a state-of-the-art washateria, bathrooms and showers that you would only put at your home in terms of ceramic tile, marble, stone, things that usually go in a home, but they made it that comfortable for travelers. It has an area for children to play, as well as let's say a dog park and discriminate against the cats, so as well as fur babies park.
Let's say those bathrooms are gorgeous.
Thank you. The slides are numbered on your sheet, so slide number 5 shows this when we just opened. Today, if you take this picture, this place is gonna be full. Slide number 6 shows you a sample of the showers with a rain shower in a bathroom with stone and ceramic tile, and also the existing gym at this time.
Yeah, I don't think we have your actual slideshow.
No. There it is.
No, hang on. Oh. We're looking at something better. I gave you what Sarah had.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Now we have to start all over again. You can just go to page
Like that?
4. Page 4 is where we are right now.
I can try to think of it.
On page 4, you have a layout of the proposed Lady Luck RV Resort Phase 2, which includes 47 new spots, a gymnasium, a public area, and a pool. Slide 8 will show you what the pool will look like with the decorative fencing next to the area that's going to have the gym. Slide 9 gives you a floor plan of the gymnasium area, the common area that the people using the park can also use for entertainment, parties, birthdays, so on and so forth, as well as the pool area on the outside. The only challenge we have with this project that we did not have with phase 1 is the sanitary sewer capacity that the area currently have. And as we discussed this project with different city staff, they don't believe that the current sanitary sewer system, specifically the pipe that crosses the highway from that area to the lift station on the east side, can actually support this project of sanitary sewer. There's plenty of water supply, but the sanitary sewer is not there. And that's why we are proposing an OSSF system, an aeration system, to actually serve this property. And this, in a way, will be temporary until the city can handle our sanitary sewer flow, then we will switch to the city system. The drip irrigation system that we are submitting or proposing does the same exact job that a sanitary sewer treatment plant does. It's actually regulated by two entities. The sanitary sewer treatment plant is regulated only by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. These systems are regulated by the TCQ as well as Jefferson County. So there's two entities that will regulate them. And there will be no commercial or industrial waste. It will purely be domestic waste from the RVs that the system will treat. Again, the regulations for the system is as per TCEQ. We have to get a permit from the Jefferson County group as well. And that system must be monitored, maintained by a professional that is licensed to do so. Just like your wastewater treatment plant have to have a licensed operator, this also applies to these systems. For additional information and more technical stuff on these systems, in the card,
Yeah, so here's.
with Bosco, he's gonna come up and explain to you all those how does that system work.
Yeah, John's here also.
I didn't see John. Oh, John. Dad and son team.
Yeah, so, I guess a road wastewater system is actually what it says. It collects the waste, it goes through digesters, chambers, the same as your large system, outside of the city of Fort Lauderdale. And that waste goes to, this one will be subsurface. And out probably about, I don't know how many feet of tubing underground, and it'll disperse under the ground. And it'll stay in the soil. It absorbs in the soil, and absorbs also in the sunlight, absorbs on this green space that we'll define, and we'll install the tubing underground. That's like regulated by the state of Texas. It's a very clean system. We meet all the regulations for nitrogen disposal and TSS and BOD. It'll be a commercial system, so the state of Texas will ensure that they maintain a contract. And we'll go out 3 times a year and inspect the system, make sure it operates properly. We send that report to the state, and if there's anything that's not correct, the state enforces them to fix it properly. So there's a good checks and balances there that keeps the system maintained, keeps it operational properly. If it doesn't, then the state will bring them to the Judge Burnett, who they use quite a bit to ensure that is working, that's working properly. Anything you want to add? Good. You have any questions? It's not normal that you would see this in the city, but we install hundreds of these in communities, RV parks, industrial sites. So it's a viable way for disposal of waste. When city sewers not available, exactly. They're taking an incredible variety. We install the unit, we maintain the unit, monitor the unit. We have several RV parks in the area, Nederland, Beaumont. There's Hampshire, Peninsula, Red City, Orange. So this is nothing new to us. This is a task.
So are you saying the sludge is distributed through the piping? What do you do with the sludge?
The sludge is vacuumed out. The sludge, it's a 3-chamber system. And the sludge stays inside the chamber. It overflows into a clear well. A clear well, that water goes into the drip field. So there's no sludge that gets to the drip field. Sludge stays in the system. You have to vacuum it out periodically.
And how
Stays in a tank.
That's a good question. The sludge is monitored upon inspection.
Right.
And when the sludge level gets to a certain level, that's when we take over and say, hey, Lady Luck, it's time for us to clean your unit out, vacuum it out. And we come in there with a special truck, vacuum it out, wash it out, and haul it off.
There's a 120 micron filter upstream of all the tubing. So the sludge can't go to the tubing.
So it's just that it's a septic system
No, it's an aerobic system, treatment system. Yeah, it's not a septic system.
Okay,
It's an aerobic treatment system identical to what these large systems, except on a smaller scale.
okay,
It pumps air into a chamber, that air circulates, the bugs stay alive, the bugs eat the waste, and the water, clean water overflows. The bugs and the dirty water stays at the bottom, and it can overflow into the digester, and that's the digester has to be pumped out periodically depending on usage. So it's a process, and it's a very clean process that really saves water, because that water is gonna be kept on site. And it's
Used for irrigation.
used for irrigation.
There's not a direct discharge into the river, like these big plants do.
and the green area
Mhm.
that this is gonna be located, it's not harmful to children or animals or anything like that.
No, we maintain the TSS and VOD, we maintain the nitrogen, they're all over yards. They're all over the place. Now, whenever we do an install, we recommend you don't go playing in it, but it's also recommended that if you have to walk through it, it doesn't hurt anything. It's not unsafe. It's not unsafe.
We've actually even found a list of plants that will grow well in it to help the spot look good.
And it's a good process. With part of the construction process, we have to do a soil analysis, determine where the evidence of water table is. Not the water table, but evidence of water table. They call it modeling. We find the modeling in the soil. We have to bring the tubing in 12 inches above that modeling. That gives it time to disinfect itself. Because the best disinfection in the world is soil. It will disinfect well. So you're not putting the water table, the drinking water table, at a disadvantage. So there is a process that we have to follow. The state will get involved. There's nobody that does any self-reporting on these. We do all that. We report back to the state. And it's a circle, and the state, believe me, they read every one of these reports. And if we flag something that's not right, the state calls and say, you need to fix something. Something's not right, you need to fix it. And they are on our side. They will enforce anything that we find wrong with it. And it's a good process. It's clean, it's safe. Up in the lakes area, we have plenty of them. There's several offsets. We have to be away from lakes and ponds and streams and everything else. So there's a lot of science that's gone into the development of these wastewater systems. It's not your everyday septic system that we're accustomed to. It is a good process, a safe process.
How does the sludge have to be vacuumed out?
Vacuum trucks.
No,
How often? It depends on usage. There's not a definite. We tell our residential homes it's 3 to 5 years, but depending on usage. And then we monitor it. Whenever we do the inspection on site, we what they call a sludge judge, and we go in and monitor the sludge, work with the homeowner to say, hey, your sludge is higher or elevated from the last time. What's the issue? Similar to do with the RV parks. It's not a challenge. It's very easily maintained, and the system we install is a hoop road system. It's manufactured in Lake Charles. The parts are readily available, so you don't have to worry about all of them. It's going to be down a little bit because we don't have parts. We stock everything in our office to replenish those parts that are broken, so it's not an issue. Well, it's going to be down for a couple of days. You don't have parts. That's not going to happen. We'll maintain it and make sure it stays healthy and safe.
How does this aerobic system differ from the ones you see, say, in West Jefferson County with sprinkler heads that pop up?
Same thing.
Same exact thing.
Same thing.
Checkers don't irrigate. This
It
one don't
just-
irrigate.
It just penetrates the ground underneath.
There's two ways to dispose of on site, surface or subsurface. Okay, this is subsurface. The one he's talking about, you're talking about with the sprinklers, that's surface. We're going to have to do the subsurface. And the reason for the subsurface is because of the footprint for the disposal field. You have a math equation you have to follow to decide how many people are going to be using it per RV and that nature. Then once you determine the amount of usage, if you have enough room, which is preferred, you put a spray system in. But a drip system, which is subsurface, allows you a smaller footprint for disposal field. It allows things like what they're trying to do to succeed, to be successful without having the large spray field, which takes up a vast amount of area.
Can you point to a similar size or larger system in an urban area?
Sure. And
We want to right across the prisons from, next to County Home and Ranch. There's all be parked there. But there's a subdivision right behind the sugar plant. And that's actually a spray system. That's a lot more land and a lot larger RV farm.
yeah, and also, on 365, I think it's called the Bell RV Park. It's a larger system. He has, Mr. Dingler, he has a spray system out there. And it's minimal maintenance. Minimal maintenance.
Any subsurface systems?
We do not have an RV park on a subsurface. However, the process is the same. It's the same.
It's the same sewer plant, just different disposal.
Exactly. I can't foresee anything happening that we couldn't mitigate. Because the way the system operates is it's constantly watching the level. And we can control how often the system's off or after it cycles home. So if we happen to see some servicing, we can adjust that so it stays off. And the system's going to be robust enough that it has a hold up in the capacity of the system, so it allows the ground to dry out. Now, will there be a wet spot? Possibly. We have had them, and all we simply do is adjust the timing so it's off more and on less, and we balance it out.
In your calculation that you use to determine usage, is it calculated on the higher side or is it calculated on the lower side? Because if all 47 spots are full and
Yeah,
every RV has 4 people in it,
sure.
is the system sized to accommodate for the maximum use, or is it based on an average?
So the way that Jefferson County is handling this process today, the permit comes from them. But on larger systems other than residential, one of the things they're doing is sending these designs to the TCQ in Austin for their opinion and review. And what the Austin TCQ is requiring, a 30% safety factor. So whatever that maximum, the design calculations are based on 50 gallons per day per spot. And then you gotta add to that a 30% contingency or safety factor. So even if everybody's using that system all at the same time, it will still be able to treat that wastewater.
Yeah, we designed the system for everybody coming home at the same time, but that's what happens. Everybody gets off work, they come home, peak flow, they peak for peak flow. And whenever we do the design, working with Lady Luck and painting, we have a large, they call it equalization tank. So all the liquid goes to this equalization tank, and it's time dosed to the system. And as it's time dosed, the system works, because the best thing an aerobic system can do is still and steady, a steady flow. So we achieve that steady flow by having an equalization tank that doesn't flood the system. Because the worst thing we do is everybody come home at one time, everybody go take a shower, flush their toilet, and you're in trouble. So there are things we put in place, working with Amy upstream, that allows it to be a time dose situation, so it's still steady and calm, and it works properly. Any more questions for the
How many
installer?
times a year did you say, do an inspection on the system?
Three times a year.
3 times a year.
And again, you asked about the sludge. It's a 120 micron filter upstream of the tubing. It's 1/2 inch tubing, buried 6 to 8 inches below grade. So that 120 micron, that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
So that minimizes sludge. Also, the tubing has root eliminators that prevents roots from growing back into the tubing. And there's also ways of flushing it, so you can maintain the integrity of the tubing, and it stays operational year round. Anything else, installers?
Good, right now.
And one of the differences between this system and the standard gravity or pump station sanitary sewer system that the city operates, this is a tight system. So when it rains, there's gonna be no additional inflow or infiltration into that system. Because most cities have infrastructure that's old, like you'll know, infiltration fills it up with rainwater or the water table water, and then you can flush your commode. That doesn't happen in the system. It's a tight system. There's no infiltration or inflow to it whatsoever. That's a big advantage versus putting this in a 60 sanitary sewer system that already has its issue with infiltration. So, and like Tara said on slide number 15, when we add landscaping to that green space, the landscaping will help absorb some of that water that's being discharged. It's treated water, so it helps absorb some of it, so it's not all dependent on evaporation or on the soil absorption. And slide 16 talks a little bit about the volumes. Skip that. If you go to slide 17, you will see the area that is designated for the aeration system. And this is again a very preliminary site with preliminary calculations. That area might have to be bigger or smaller. Once the complete design is done, we will be able to better identify this area. And one of the reasons we don't want to do spray system is because it's close to an RV park. We don't want it to be spraying the water on the surface. So as per your question, if somebody walks through it, it's not gonna hurt them even if it's spraying it. But you know, it's the perception of, oh, we're spraying wastewater. Although it's as clean as the water you jump in the Neches River, even cleaner because it's been processed. But that's why we that's slide 18 talks about the sales and property taxes for the city of Rose. So basically, we want to make phase 2 another $30,000 piece of land into a $2 million piece of land on the tax roll. We want to house 47 families or individuals that will all be shopping, living, and spending their money in the city of Groves. Hopefully, some of them will also buy homes, like Tara told you about the individual who already bought a home in this area. At the end of the day, when this industrial boom comes to an end, people have to fill these positions that we are building these plants for, which will open up opportunities for people to buy homes as well. And I know on slide 19, we talked about the revenue for roads, and it's not just about the money, right? It's not about, all right, $2 million worth of taxes at whatever rate the city is at today is going to generate this much money. It's providing a property that becomes a destination that is not only used by these folks that are working here now, but will continue to provide revenue to the city for many, many years to come. A property that when you're driving down the highway and you turn out and look, you're going to say, wow, this is a nice RV park. And this is the objective here, especially with the swimming pool they want to add to it, the gymnasium, the recreational area that can be used. So in summary, on page 20, the aeration drip system we are proposing will provide treated water just like any other wastewater treatment plant. Even better in this case because it's a tight system. We wish we can tie to your system. It's cheaper, easier, don't have that monthly, weekly, and yearly maintenance. But at this time, unfortunately, we cannot. So once that system is available, we will immediately tie into it. Lady Luck RV Resort Phase 2 will provide quality living for travelers, workers, and citizens. And also will provide additional property taxes as well as sales tax. If you all have any questions about this project, I'll be more than happy to.
So as far as the rest of the design, other than the sewer, y'all are following the same specifications as far as size, everything else will be built to the same manner that the current one is. The only exception is you're asking for the aeration system rather than city sewer
Correct.
because it's not available at that capacity.
Correct. So the drainage system will have to meet DD7's requirements with detention and all these criteria that they have in their manual. Zero impact. So whatever drains out of this property today to the DD7 ditch will drain when this project is completed, just like phase 1. And the city will not issue any permits till DD7 is satisfied. This has become the norm all over Southeast Texas.
Okay. All right, we'll move, item 3, any questions from city council? at this time?
This is, something in the future that's going to be, I guess, be more, involved in communities than this type of system. With different businesses that have problems with the filtration system or, hooking up to the city services.
These systems are the only, these are the past, the present, and the future at any location where wastewater treatment is not available to a municipality or to a mud district. So it's not something new. It keeps getting improved with time, but it is the past, the present, and the future.
And everything for, it goes along with TCQ, they regulate it.
Yes, ma'am, we will have to follow all the rules, regulations set by DCQ and the California Directorate.
And as I assured you in phase one, and I believe I've proved that my word was true, I will do everything I possibly can to make this place a success and safe and a wonderful part of the community. All inspections will be done, any repairs will be done immediately, just as we do with phase one. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Anybody? She's on top of it.
Manage all their
On
money.
being safe, secure, gated, picking up everything that she sees that is not, shouldn't be there,
Shouldn't be.
piece of little candy, whatever. I've walked that place, but she was very thorough.
It's very clean,
Yes.
very nice. I really like the bathrooms too.
If you ever have a water break in your neighborhood, you need the shower, you are
Yeah.
welcome to come have one, okay?
Yes.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the planning and zoning commission?
Got one thing, guys, on the septic system. It's not gonna be out there like a big eyesore. They brought the system in and showed us and laid it out for us. It's not gonna be an eyesore. Most of the stuff is below ground. Very little above ground. And the only other question that we grilled them on all this, but the one thing I asked them was, well, all these things are working. What about a catastrophic failure of this system? Then what? And so I'll let you explain what y'all explained to us that there was a catastrophic failure of this system.
I mean, a catastrophic failure in a system like that can be maximum, the pump goes out. And like Carl said, all that equipment is manufactured in Louisiana. And we would definitely have spare parts on site of all the components that can fail. So if there is a failure within an hour or two before the system can even get filled up, we can immediately replace it. And we also, because the system is a tight system, we can inform the residents not to use their water or wastewater for the time being until we fix that system. So that there is no manholes and all of that, that it's all piping, pumps, piping. So it's not like an overflow a manhole, like when a city lift station goes out.
So I do have one other question. Is this system designed for manual emptying as well? Not just the sludge, but in the case of something happening, can it be pumped out? I've seen it done at the beach area where it's full, it's not flowing. They just bring in a truck and empty.
You can empty the whole system. And as far as what you see on the surface, all these tanks, the maximum you'll see is the lid that's 2 inches above ground and the control panels. Everything else is invisible.
Any other questions from planning and zoning?
So, and I'm going back from our previous meeting we had, the first one. So there's an on-site alarm notification system on it, if I remember right, a strobe that's on top that will get attention. Is there any other remote notification of failure?
The strobe light is what is required by the DCQ in terms of alarms, and a siren is also required in terms of alarms. Can we connect this to a pager somewhere? we can definitely do that. If you all need that done, yeah, we can if you all need that done, so. We can put some SCADA on it.
Everything else is connected
But
to
I'm
my cell
assuming
phone,
that-
why not?
Our whole light is out there, where the control panel is on site.
Correct.
If there was just some way that the office, because you're not there, right, if you're not out roaming around to see that or hear that, just that some sort of notification,
We can actually even do
get it to
better.
the off, some remote notification that there is a failure, whether it's whoever has.
Keep in mind, it's not a one-to-one throughput. There's substantial amount of holdup in the system in the event of a power failure, in the event of a breakdown. It's not a one-to-one ratio that flows through here. So you have a substantial amount of holdup time. Probably in the neighborhood of 24 to 48 hours. Maybe more.
Kind of urgency.
But you're gonna have two tanks, and each one is about 2,500 gallons of the tanks. And what we-
Yeah, but there's also a large
And a pipe.
equalization tank in front of all that.
So there's plenty of storage in the system, but even if we need to attach it to a SCADA that goes directly to the operator, we can work that as well.
It'd be email, phone, text. we can-
We can work that as well.
My phone? If it's got power, I can't do anything else with it, so.
I mean, it's a great idea to do SCADA because somebody's not there, don't pay attention to the stove light. The operator gets it. They're in big cities, so
That RV on spot.
Can you show us on the photo where it's gonna be placed?
Where the control system is?
Yeah.
the irrigation system itself is on this side.
Okay.
Right. So the control panel will be somewhere out there.
Any other questions from Mr. Planning and Zoning?
Your system, you've got a power failure. We would be able to operate that system with a generator. If it just passed the 48 hours.
We can definitely have a quick connect on it, so if there's a storm, hurricane, and we're gonna have no power for a week, we can definitely connect the generator. It won't take
Hopefully you won't have
big
nobody there
generators.
again.
It has its wheel, part of Action Restoration, and honestly, we've got some really big generators.
Any other questions from the Planning and Zoning? We'll move to, property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak in support of the request. Within 200 feet to speak in support. Property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak against the request. Okay, citizens of Groves who wish to speak in support of the request. Citizens of Groves who wish to speak against the request. Name and address, sir.
Sidney Baden, 2310 Lackey Drive. Several years ago when this came up, we, approved the first phase of this as a councilman and councilwomen, and we, were told that, this is gonna be 53 units. Now we're gonna be 90, what,
100.
total?
Good evening.
I have a problem with that. I live, about a block away and, I don't see my property value going up. I'm already having significant amount of traffic problems up and down our street, the corner. And, I don't think I'll ever approve.
Thank you for your comments. Any other citizens of Groves who wish to speak against the request? All right.
Mayor.
Oh,
Just call a couple of students. The city side went to them to, work the council. We do have, sewer tank sanitation sewer available now. Upfront cost to them to hook it up is significant, but it's available.
We did not want this system into our city because it is something that's done mostly in rural applications and only, I think the example they gave us is a residential home. That looks into like a pretty rural area with no neighboring there around it. So the city is asking them to connect to our sewer system. So it's available. They just didn't want to pay the cost, which I understand the cost is significant, but it's available. They're saying that it's not available. That's not really true. It's available.
So this being hooked up to it, what you're saying is it will not burden the system.
Okay, that goes beyond my expertise. I'm a plumbing inspector. I inspect and look at conveyance, not so much water waste treatment. That's more a Troy Foxworth question and how his system is able to handle it. Because once it leaves the property, it's pretty much out of my hands. It goes into utility department and for public works.
You're saying it'll process it, but it has to cross the highway, you said? The waste has to cross the highway?
From my understanding, when we discussed this project with the city, there is two bottlenecks, the sanitary sewer lift station across the highway, as well as the pipe that crosses the highway, does not have the capacity. So this has changed and talking about something different. I'm not sure. So let Troy explain that.
There is a bottleneck. It will burden our system, but there is the option of them actually putting a lift station in at their facility and pumping it straight to the wastewater plant. That's the expensive part that we're talking about. It will burden our system, but there is the bottleneck he's talking about. If anybody lives that side of 73 knows what I'm talking about, whenever it rains, they have a hard time flushing. So that's what we're talking about. It has that part of it, but like I said, the lift station in our ordinance, I believe it says that they have to make they have to make the arrangements to be able to use our system if it's available, and it is available. There is, within so many feet, there is an easement that they can actually tie into. They would have to either upgrade the entire system to our existing lift station or install their own lift station. So
That's millions of dollars.
exactly.
The ordinance reads that if they're within, I believe it's 200 feet, any person, any developer is required to tie into the system. If the existing system is like it is now, that can't handle the development, it's the burden is on the developer to improve the system to meet their needs. That's the way it's been everywhere. Okay.
I would like to ask if we could get a report on this future council meeting before this decision is made. Get all the facts from the city side of it so we can see what the decision. I would like to see it discussed further outside of the public hearing.
We can do that.
But what you're saying right now is that as it sets, that it will burden the system.
Yes, the system that was put in already, the lady was already burdening the system with the 50 that were put in there. So this will actually increase.
And by them having the capacity to store additional capacity, I guess, and then feed it as.
Well, the whole system that they're proposing, first of all, is not allowed in the city limits. They're proposing to be able to do this. I mean, our ordinance does not allow this, but they're asking to do this, and I understand why, because of the cost of it.
Because we as a city can't take the additional.
Correct. So that's why I understand that.
So this is an alternative to let the expansion, the additional trailers and stuff we know are RVs coming to the city, which we benefit from.
Correct, but that also opens up the door for other areas that have quite a bit of area that they could develop some more units like this inside the town or whatever where our system is already taxed and they can put a system like this. If we allow one, then we have to allow them all. So we gotta look at the future on this. It's not just this one unit. I mean, it's not this one project. There's a lot. So
But is there a danger with allowing this unit? I mean, if it's self-contained,
As fiduciaries of the water and sewer system, there is a danger in allowing this, because that's how the system is expanded. The new developers of property have the duty and obligation to pay for the service to get to them, if they're within the 200-foot limit.
It's my understanding that we're not.
Well, this, as the mayor said, this is something that really needs to.
further discussion.
Cause I'm sure y'all talked about the cost of the expansion, the cost of a lift station, the cost of them tying in and all the effects. We need to have dedicated time to really go over that as a council. To see what's gonna be the best decision. With y'all's input, we can invite them back to, but I truly think that needs to happen and have some dedicated time just for that.
And just so you know, I don't know where we are in the 30-day shot clock, state mandated 30-day shot clocks, and we may be required to deny the request this time until we can have this discussion, but we need to have that in consideration.
Well, it won't be denied. It won't be,
No
no action taken
their
tonight,
application,
yeah. Okay.
administratively.
what does the ordinance specifically say? If you can remember that much.
I don't have it in front of me, but Mr. Kurt actually voted it better than I did.
Anything else, Troy? Y'all good? Mr.
Something.
Tony, you got something?
I agree 100% that we should look at the ordinance because that is the law for the city. And we need to make sure we're abiding by all ordinances. Would also like to let the council know that, as you are aware, the council has the ability to modify ordinances. If the city's sanitary sewer and water system cannot accommodate growth today, it's not in the city's best interest to not have growth when there are ways for it. I propose that the city looks very, very closely to this matter and consider this project as a positive project, just like phase one was a positive project. Because the burden of this city infrastructure rehabilitation is put on the developer at this point. It's probably gonna kill the project. I understand when a developer is doing a subdivision, for example, you have to put all the infrastructure to the city standards and specifications to get the service to these lots, and then the city adopts the street. But in this case, it's existing infrastructure that we, or rule might be saying, although it's existing, we don't have the money to rehab it. So we're gonna stop this growth here until we have the money to rehab it, because the developer cannot incur the cost. It's just, to me as an engineer, it doesn't make too much sense, so please look into this very carefully. Because like they just said, there's other projects that can happen. And if you're gonna wait for the infrastructure to be rehabilitated, I'm in that infrastructure business. It takes years, sometimes 30, 40 years to get a system up to par because of how much it costs today to replace that system. I mean, an 8-inch sewer pipe today costs $100 a foot to pipe burst with service line maintenance. So it's a very important decision that the city needs to make. Is we want to stop growth because we have an ordinance that we amended, but we're gonna continue to grow and benefit from this boom that we're having in our area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that'll end all of our agenda items for the public hearing. No action will be taken at this meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission will meet independently and submit a recommendation to the city council. Final determination of the request will be made at a future city council meeting. That closes the public hearing. Give us a second to let everything clear out a little bit.
Thank you, guys. All right, thank you.
All right. We're gonna continue on. Item number 9, deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the August 26th, 2024. Hey, either be quiet or go outside. Deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the August 26th, 2024, September 9th, 2024 city council meetings.
Make a motion, we deliberate and act to approve minutes of August 26, 2024, and September 9th, 2024 city council meetings.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act to approve the minutes of the August 26th, 2024, September 9th, 2024 city council meetings. Do I have any questions? No questions. We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas. Motion passes. Item 10, here and deliberate on a proclamation recognizing the 2024 Groves Pecan Festival royalty. If everyone would come to the front. Miss Letha, do you have anything to say for this? Or you just want to read it? Or you want to talk after I read it?
We're to present our work together, we're very proud of these great group of girls and happy to share them with our own.
Good. All right. City of Groves, Texas, Office of the Mayor Proclamation. I, Chris Bourne, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Groves, Texas, do hereby recognize the following 2024 Groves Pecan Festival royalty. Petite Miss Jamie Morris. Raise your hand, not here. Okay. Little Miss Quinn Brennan. All right. Judges Gray Whitaker. Countess Jenner. Dotry. Sorry. Junior Miss Staten Taylor. Queen Emily Brown. On behalf of the City Council of Groves, City of Groves, I offer my congratulations to each one. The testimony whereof witnessed my hand and the seal of the City of Groves this 23rd day of September 2024. Congratulations to each one of you. Well deserved. And you get to represent the city for the next year. How about that? Yeah. Oh, don't stand by me, I guess. There you go.
Okay, everybody ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One, two, come here.
All right. Congratulations, girls.
There's cookies and stuff for
Again, congratulations to all the kiddos and all the parents as well. I'm sure it was a chore for all of you. Item number 11, presentation of a response video and a life-saving award to Detective Stephen Boudreau in recognition of his heroic actions on August 21st, 2024. Marshall?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and all of our honored guests. Thank you all for being here. As we recognize the bravery and quick thinking of one of our own, Detective Stephen Boudreau. In just a moment, you'll see a video demonstrating Detective Boudreau's response to a critical incident. This is an important reminder of the impact our officers have in the community on a regular, sometimes even daily basis. On August 21st, 2024, Central Dispatch reported an apartment fire at the Beverly Place Apartments. Detective Boudreaux, who was working patrol and was scanning numerous emergency channels beyond his primary channel, heard the fire call and immediately reacted. If you would please play the video, Mr. Cruz.
Is there audio?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No, it's not.
Thank you. You change the source of the audio. Bottom of the last thing.
It really will work anywhere.
Almost as good as the PowerPoint presentation.
Sometimes we can have one there, that's your name. And now all the boys imagine
It's a speaker like that doesn't give you options.
Sound like that.
Or is it too
It's a little speaker with it. See if it lets you choose a source.
There's Chief Lance when we need him.
There's Lance right here. I thought it's an IT guy.
There it is.
Chris?
Ladies and gentlemen, what you have just observed is the definition of heroism. Detective Boudreaux responded swiftly. He acted with courage in the face of chaos and with risk to his own health and safety, ultimately saved a life. It is my honor and privilege tonight to present Detective Stephen Boudreaux with the life-saving award. Stephen, would you? Your actions reflect the very best of our department, and we thank you so much for your dedication.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to add on to that. Stephen did a tremendous job. Appreciate the efforts. We had a team effort that night, and I I want to commend Stephen and what he did and support all that 100%. We had a great rescue that night because 3 different departments came together and worked as one department. They did a fantastic job. You had a member of our department in Hayden Grove, and then a member of Port Neches Fire Department, Connor Stevens. They helped ladder the building along with another gentleman, Jason Shepherd. They laddered the building, assisted the victim down with Stevens' help, and then also the other 2 that were up there with Officer Boudreaux. And Officer Boudreaux also got rescued by our firefighter. But that's the coordinated effort that we have in mid-county between the 3 cities. It's great that we work together all the time. I've known Steven since he started working here. He's a great officer, fantastic officer, and does a great job every day. But I also want to commend Hayden on his help on that. I have a certificate of merit for Hayden Grove. In recognition of heroic efforts in assisting the rescue of a victim at an apartment fire on August 21st, 2024. Your bravery, quick actions, and dedication helped save a life and exemplify the highest standard of public service. On behalf of Connor Stevens, we have Assistant Fire Chief from Police from Port Neches, Tyler Heath. Appreciate it. Yeah, we have a few people on that. We'll get them. I do have some other stuff for our guys later at our Fireman of the Year banquet. And I thought they needed to be recognized tonight along with Officer Boudreaux. Thank you.
All right, item 12, deliberate and act on the selection of a professional community development block grant administrative services firm and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents.
I'll make a motion, we deliberate and act on the selection of the professional community development block grant administration service firm and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on the selection of a professional community development block grant administrative services firm and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents. Do we have any questions? More?
In council, a few months ago, y'all authorized search issuing an RFP for a grant administrator related to the upcoming CDBG grant application. We issued the RFP. We received 3 different responses, one of which was ineligible because it was incomplete. The other 2 were eligible. We formed a small committee, consisting of myself, Mr. Foxworth, and the mayor to review the bids. And hopefully y'all have that memo in front of y'all that explains the findings, the recommendation.
And Nick Finan with Grant Works is here representing the page.
Through our process, the 2 that submitted plans, there were 2 distinct differences in my opinion. One being the size of the firms and the amount of manpower that can be provided, and 2 was the price. The price was significantly lower for more manpower, which is reflected in my scores as well. But ultimately, the biggest difference were those 2, the manpower available to work on our projects and the price of their services.
That's consistent with all years.
Do we have any questions?
We need, midnight to,
Yes,
to the election.
yes, Grant Works was the one that we're suggesting to be selected, yes.
All right, I'll amend mine to act on grant work based on staff's recommendation as a community development block grant administrative services firm. So
I have a motion and a second to accept Grant Works as the community development block grant administrative services firm per staff recommendations. Do you have any questions at this time for that? Okay, no questions. We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams. Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Dugas. Motion passes. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for your bid as well. And we look forward to letting you help us get some money.
We appreciate it and we'll do everything. We'll work with your staff. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Item 13, deliberate and act on awarding the bid for the ARPA wastewater treatment plant improvement project, including the replacement of the mechanical bar screen and grit classifier, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents.
I make a motion to deliberate and act on awarding the bid for the ARPA wastewater treatment plant improvements project, including the replacement of the mechanical bar screen and grit classifier, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on awarding the bid of the ARPA wastewater treatment plant improvement project, including the replacement of the mechanical bar screen and the grit classifier, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents. Do you have any questions?
Mayor Council, Jason Martinez, also with Grant Works, is here to discuss the process and kind of where he is overall with the ARPA project. You'll remember back several months ago, I can't remember exactly when, we were moving full steam ahead with this particular project, it's wastewater plant, and we decided that we need to take a step back and make sure we're following all the federal procurement guidelines, and ended up going through the same review process we just did on the previous item, and selected Grant Works. And we got two bids to see in the memo there, and Jason's been helping us through the whole process, and I'll let him.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. Thank you. Hello, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Jason Martinez. I'm with the ARPA project manager with Grant Works. As Mr. Kirk mentioned, I have been working with the engineer in regards to this procurement. So we did a full review of the procurement that South Tex did for this bid. And we will be working with Mr. Ruth and his staff going forward as far as reviewing contracts, reviewing the labor components that come with this work as well. As far as the ARPA grant, the ARPA funds are concerned, so the city was received about $3 million in ARPA funding. We currently have after we award this grant and after we award this contract and get the contract executed, we should have about $109,000 remaining to obligate before the end of the year. Now, I have been speaking with South Tex, the engineer, and they may be including additional items to to the scope of work, which could bring up this, the overall work for this project. But there is about $109,000 left to obligate before the end of the year. Now, that can go towards, any project that y'all would desire for it to go to, and I will work with the staff to make sure that we get that obligated before the end of the year. And in terms of obligation is a contract or purchase order that's put in place before December 31st, 2024. Now, all work has to be completed and all funds have to be expended before the end of 2026, so that's 12/31/2026. Happy to answer any questions if anyone has any questions in regards to the ARPA funds or previous projects. I am currently working with the engineers that procured the other projects for that ARPA funds are used for, so we can do a review of those procurements as well, make sure that everything was in compliance.
So you will keep an eye on, the $100,000 that we have to.
Yes, and there's other options if there's not, if it's something that we're not able to get signed before the end of the year. I mean, we're almost going into October, so a few more months before we could, if we're not able to get a bid out before the end of the year, the Treasury has given us options on how to get these funds obligated. I've already discussed that with Mr. Crew. So it would be in the form of a memorandum of understanding, an interdepartmental agreement. That would be last resort. So we would obligate these funds to a particular project that has been approved by you all, the council.
Well, we have been talking with the engineers about doing some additional minor additions to this project.
For the wastewater treatment plant.
As you know, working with water and sewer projects, $100,000 just doesn't go like as far as it used to.
Right.
So, Mr. Martinez, are you here also to speak on the bids that were turned in, or is that some?
So there were two bids. I did receive the bids from the engineer. So there were two bids that were received. I can speak on that, Mayor, if you would like. So South Texas recommending that Alco E with a bid of $947,500. Also, the other bid that was received was from MK Construction. They submitted a bid for $907,821. South Texas has worked with Alco before. I already did a full I did a department check on them. And they're registered at San.gov. They have a UEI. They're in good standing with San.gov, which is a requirement for work funds.
Just to be clear, because I think it kind of sounded like you said MK Constructors bid was $997,000.
Nice. Okay, my apologies.
Okay. MK did the lift station, correct? And Alco, I know they do a lot of wastewater treatment plants.
There are lots of them.
But the bid comparison between the two, they covered all the same scope of work. One was just higher than the other.
Yes.
And we've done work with both of them, so it wasn't a integrity type thing. It was just one's cheaper than the other, correct? But all scopes were covered by both bidders.
Yes.
Okay. When we get to that point, we'll need to amend to accept Alco. Unless, I mean, until after all the questions are answered. Any other questions for Mr. Martinez?
I don't know if it's you or Mr. Cruz I should speak with, direct this to, but, is there any intellectual property that's going to be involved
With
for the wastewater treatment plant?
not
If there's any contracts, I want to make sure that the city retains their intellectual property.
I'm not completely sure of that, but I can definitely check into that for you. Absolutely.
Mr. Mann?
Yeah, I think we looked at that with respect to the engineer's contract, but those other contracts are not making it to council or making it to my office. Okay. So as long as we're looking at that, I'd like to look at it.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll hand out my cards to each and every one of you, so y'all can contact me directly if anybody has any questions at a later date as well.
So if there's no other questions, we can amend it to include Alco as the award winner.
I amend my, original motion to deliberate and act on awarding the bid for the ARPA wastewater treatment plant improvement project, including the replacement of the mechanical bar screen and grid classifier, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate all and execute all necessary documents to Alco Inc.
That's fine.
Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on awarding the bid for the ARPA wastewater treatment plant improvement project to negotiate including the replacement of the mechanical bar screen and the grid classifier, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents to Alco Inc. Do I have any questions? No questions. We'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Montana. Item 14, deliberate and act on request by Burrito Bar and Tortilla Factory for preliminary approval of an alcohol sales permit application.
I'll make a motion, we deliberate and act on request by Burrito Bar and Tortilla Factory for preliminary approval of an alcohol sales permit application.
A second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on the request by Burrito Bar and Tortilla Factory for preliminary approval of an alcohol sales permit application. Do I have any questions?
Who's actually making the request?
Application is signed by Ms. Cravens.
Okay, is that your business or,
That's correct.
okay,
Yes, sir.
has there been any other applications asked from any of those other businesses there?
No.
Oh.
No, sir.
Has Pizza Artista, they done that application to,
Not that I'm aware of.
So basically what the memo is trying to convey is that the applicant doesn't want to go through the expense of paying for a survey of leaks and bounds, which is required for the application, without some indication that council is going to improve the application. So this is a wise term, the preliminary permit application.
Will this last be in your name?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Mr. Cruz, for those that do not know, watching out on the TV line, what is meets and bounds?
It's the surveyed boundaries of a piece of property.
So is it going to be just that, tortilla factory?
Yes,
Just
yes, they're asking,
Where-
they're asking for that particular survey to be in detail of just that bay, since it's only applicable to that bay.
So if you go to our code of ordinances, our alcohol, ordinance, any place that's selling alcohol right now, the meets and bounds description is in there. If you read it, unless you're a registered surveyor, you probably can't make heads or tails of it.
But it's in the ordinance.
If any other, business were to move in there, the permit would be under you or the owner of the business. You own the property, correct?
Yes, sir, and I also own the business. So if that business were to cease, then so will the license.
Okay.
It would not transfer to anybody else.
But if you sell
But
the
you
permit, I mean, if you sell the burrito bar,
They would have to apply for their own.
they have
for
to
their
get their own
license.
alcohol permit.
That's non-transferable.
However, the
so-
city will have already approved that location in the city of Rose.
So that should be an
That would be
easy transition
permanent.
to a new owner.
So if another entity, business moved into that strip area, am I correct? There's more than one available, place for the businesses, am I correct?
Yes, well, all the businesses
If-
are
if
already
you were-
established, they're just waiting to be opened, but if something were to go away, like, for example, Pizza Artista were to go away and another business went there, then yes, they would be at liberty to apply for their own business. I think that's what you're asking. Yes,
Each business has to do their own,
They're on.
regardless of who owns the property.
correct.
Regardless of who owns.
She just happens to be both on this.
Okay.
But in terms of city approval, like in the case of the Reader Bar, that location, from this point, council approves the application, that location would be approved for, as in the city's case, they would just have to go to the state for the state alcohol permit.
Mr. Monk, does that have anything to do with the businesses being like and same, or, I mean, obviously this is a restaurant applying for a sales permit, but if you can't just have a sales permit for any business, it would have to be a like restaurant as well.
Correct, yeah, it would have to be somebody who's interested in applying to the
You
state.
couldn't have a fitness place selling alcohol
Correct.
in that, they would have to.
It's
See what I'm saying?
state requirements.
Okay.
But the city will have authorized that sale.
Okay. Mr. Monk, to your knowledge, is there anything, that would prevent a preliminary, agreement on this? Okay. Any other questions? As the motion reads, we're deliberating and acting, so approval would be preliminary approval, no need to modify the
Correct.
motion. Okay, any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Dugas. Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, let me just bring this up. My document control company that I'm supposed to bring this, but this one. So do I have to speak that? Yes. Okay.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
Item 15, deliberate and act on approval for the collective bargaining agreement with the Groves Professional Firefighters Association and authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute all necessary documents.
We need a motion.
It is not marked.
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yes. I'll make a motion, we deliberate and act on approval for the collective bargaining agreement with the Groves Professional Firefighters Association and authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on approval for the collective bargaining agreement with the Groves Professional Firefighters Association and authorizing the mayor and city manager to execute all necessary documents. Do you have any questions? Mr. Manager, is there anything you'd like to say? Or is
Chief
there,
out there?
is
Yes.
Chief Yo?
As it shows in the memo there, we met with the firefighters association several times starting in June. And we came to a compromise. It's gonna be a 5-year contract for the firefighters union. And basically, we have a little bit of different pay structure for the lieutenants and the captains, kind of separating them more from the firefighters. We were kind of crunched for several years between the officers. Now we have a little bit of separation in between there as well. And it's very competitive too with the other cities.
Didn't we talk about this during the budget?
We did a little bit, we hit on just a little bit, but we couldn't go into it much because we hadn't been approved yet. So everybody's satisfied. They signed their side of the contract. I've signed my part of the contract as well.
And how long is the contract?
5 years.
Other than the pay structure, were there any structural components changed?
No.
Just the pay structure.
Yes. We did, education, we accepted, an associate's, a bachelor's and a master's degree in there. That mixed in with their intermediate, advanced and master's pay. So if somebody came in with an associate's degree and just started, they would be getting some additional education pay.
That just brings it in line with what we do with the rest of the.
Yes, sir.
But no changes to retirement or
No.
anything like that. Any other questions? No other questions. Vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Dugas. Motion passes. Item 16, deliberate and act on the September 23rd, 2024 invoice list.
Make the motion, we deliberate and act on September 23rd, 2024 invoice list. For $95,000.
I'll second.
Above $5,000.
I'll
I
second.
think so, that was cheap.
I have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on the September 23rd, 2024 invoice list. Any questions, Mr. Crew?
It's total. This time is a little bit larger. First was Benel Cremation Systems, repairs the cremation unit. Doesn't mean that we don't know where buried, bodies are buried. This is at the animal shelter, $5,767.90. Blue Iron Technologies, antivirus and backup software, $10,138.08. City of Port Arthur for disposal of our sludge at the landfill, $5,200. Fuel man, gas and diesel for the fleet, $20,785.01. Iowa, Texas, a rotator motor rebuild on the garbage truck, $5,850. LVA raw water purchase, $24,750. CVS DX, two invoices there, one for chlorine, and another one for chlorine and SO2, $6,861.60, and then the second one's $11,577. For public services, collection of commercial dumpsters, $10,109.37, and then also for Republic for sludge disposal, $12,527.25. Revise, which is the website company, $5,850, and then U.S. Underwater, which is made of repair to the vent cover. Is that right? $18,150. Totals $137,566.21.
Mr. Caruth, on the first line, the cremation systems, I know that we share some expenses with the other cities that use our cremation. Also, did we split repairs or do they just pay us a one-time
Yes.
fee?
No, this repair is split three ways between us, Nederland. And
So the total cost was over $16,000.
No,
No.
that's the total cost right there. They will reimburse us for their third of it.
So we'll get reimbursed 2/3 of that $5,700.
This was a emergency repair. I think over time from several storms, it messed up the flue in there, and then it just dominoed that we didn't know about, and it even caused electrical issues that we had to get repaired. But it's functioning properly now. It's been tested. It's been ran several times.
But it is still split 3 ways
Yes, sir.
for all the repairs. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
So why was it an emergency service?
Because it had basically dominoed down, and we were at that last thing there. And when he came to do his annual inspection on it, he told us if we turn it on, it may just fry the machine.
So how long would it have taken them to come out and repair?
This repair here, an emergency repair, took us 3 weeks to get a guy out here. And it was probably gonna take us 3 to 6 months. And unfortunately, we all know that we have to put some animals down and they're backing up.
How old is this unit?
I think the complete renovation was done on it back in 2009, and then a minor one was done in 2015. We did something. So it's been from 15 to now that there was a pretty good repair on it.
And just so you know, when the unit's down and we have to euthanize animals and freeze them, yeah.
You freeze them?
And until they can be disposed of.
Oh.
So they
So
don't.
they're already dead.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll euthanize them and then put the bodies in.
Any other question on the invoice list?
The antivirus and backup software, is that for the new website or is that updating the new website?
No, that's just our annual.
What we have now? Okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas. Motion passes. Item 17, deliberate and act on ordinance denying the statement of intent of Texas Gas Service Company to increase rates in the incorporated areas of the Central Gulf Service Area, requiring reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses. We'll need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to deliberate and act on the ordinance denying statement of intent of Texas Gas Service Company to increase rates in the incorporated area of the Central Gulf Service Area, requiring reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to deliberate and act on an ordinance denying the statement of intent of Texas Gas Service Company to increase rates in the incorporated areas of the Central Gulf Service Area, requiring reimbursement of municipal rate case expenses. Are there any questions? Mr. Monk, is this something you need to read?
No, so this is recommended by the.
Okay.
Is this just us telling them we don't like you raising the rates and
Correct.
we don't want you to?
They're not, correct.
Any other questions? No other questions? Vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Canitas.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Dugas. Motion passes. Item 18. Councilmember comments?
I had a great time at the parade. Mr. Oliver made a big sign that said, Growth Roads Economic Development Corporation, Economic Development Corporation, and he attached the contract and showcased the EDC.
I know they're all gone, but congratulations to all of the pageant winners. Congratulations to Miss Olivia for being our ambassador of the parade as well. Congratulations to Officer Boudreaux. Thank you for your service, all you do, and the firefighters that were involved, Hayden and the one from Port Neches. Thank you all for everything. You truly do make our city look good. Any other council member comments? Being none, we will adjourn at 6:48. There is an EDC meeting following. Thank you. Which one am I signing?
Yes.
Okay. You get it or she gets it?
It's the next meeting. It's killing me. Yes.
You know. That'd be smarter than the machine.
Right?
Take it easy.
You don't think.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.